Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the play. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the play. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the play. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the play. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money, you change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas as low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I make that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang. And we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight. Cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day. They still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. Lil' mama, she bad but complain. Cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane and go get this money with Gucci. I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang.
I get the bag with the gang. Taking that Zach to the bank. Henny be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think that should change? You not even hot in your gang. Ain't nothing even hot about your gang. You niggas be lying about same. Be posting them pictures of guns for the fame. Niggas just look at me different now. Say that's your man, but he a clown. Don't fuck around with the fuck arounds. Little nigga, you should cut it out. Me and my niggas take different routes. Punch a bitch nigga all in his mouth. Hold up my nigga, we different now. I need a Rari, this is my style. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I get a bitch today, she probably a foreign model. I get a check today, I spent it all tomorrow. I'm with my gang today, tomorrow never promise.
OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang.
Attention, please. Please do not smoke in the terminal building. Smoking is only permitted in the specified smoking areas.
Zach. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Niggas don't know what to think. Thought I get money, you change. What you thought we was the same? Still stay away from them clones. Niggas better leave me alone. Talking about niggas as low. Run with niggas who don't know you. Whoa, I make that zagging when city to city. You niggas not hot in your state. If it was money to get a hit Henny, we get it and never complain. Same go for the gang. And we split it up all the same. I can't really eat, let's stay straight. Cause we go way back in the day. My day ones from back in the day. They still hang around me today. You wanna come round us, you can't. I'm rolling up loud, it's great. Lil' mama, she bad but complain. Cause I'm too in love with my dreams. And I gotta get on the plane and go get this money with Gucci. I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang. OG, I draw up the plate. Henny, he go get the cake. Then we link up with the gang. Gang, gang.
I get the bag with the gang. Taking that bank. Henny be all in my drink. You niggas is stupid, you think that shit change? You not even hot in your gang. Ain't nothing even hot about your gang. You niggas be lying about same. Be posting them pictures of guns for the fame. Niggas just look at me different now. Say that's your man, but he a clown. Don't fuck around with the fuck arounds. Little nigga, you should cut it out. Me and my niggas take different routes. Punch a bitch nigga all in his mouth. Hold up, my nigga, we different now.
Welcome everybody to another very important edition of the Pocket Locker Podcast. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast, and as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. Appreciate everybody for joining me. Let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, let's do a quick communion. Please raise your glasses and hold on to your asses. Through him, with him, in the unity of the flying man. All glory and honor is yours who fled for our sins forever and ever. You may drink. All right, good to see everybody here. Let's go ahead and do a quick communion song. This one comes to us from, where are my guys at? This one comes to us from the Brummies. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
Everything you got, taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
All right, gang, welcome to the show. Actually, let me switch back. Corner. It's still, oh, there we go. I am at the cafe. The link is pinned in the description. If you would like to come in and join us, you are free to do so. This stream has to end at a little before 3 o'clock. I have a meeting, so the stream will only be about 40 minutes. But feel free to pop in if anybody has anything to say. Now, I'm gonna just keep it a buck with y'all, man. Streams like this are difficult to do, but to me, they're streams I feel I need to do because I feel like a lot of ways in this community, at least the community that's built up around my channel, the buck stops with me. Like, I don't get to pass the buck on things. So when ultimately I feel like things come to a head, if I don't address them, I feel like they won't get addressed. And so that often puts me in a situation where I feel like I have to speak on certain things, because if I don't speak on certain things, I end up enabling the problem. It's one of the more frustrating aspects of being a YouTuber, but it kind of comes with the territory. And yeah, all right. So look, so let's get into it, man. I'm really here to talk about my discomfort with the whole Tux situation. And I need people to understand where some of this comes from. Now, a lot of y'all may remember the situation we had with basically Doug going back a month or so ago, where, it wasn't even, it had to be longer than that now that I think about it, because really Doug made his shit around the election. No. It's about a month ago, because this happened with the Tyree Nichols shit. Now it's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now. But yeah, so around the Tyree Nichols situation, so here's what happened. We were all hanging out one day on Nitty's stream. And basically, a lot of us met, and we used to spend a lot of community time around Pine Creek's channel. A lot of y'all probably know Pine Creek Doug. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you can look up Pine Creek on YouTube and watch his channel. He has a second channel. It used to be called Pine Creek Poker. Now remember that. This is important. Pine Creek used to have a second channel called Pine Creek Poker, where him and his buddies would once in a while stream their poker games. Now, it mostly became inactive because they weren't really on top of streaming poker, but that is indeed what Pine Creek's second channel was for. Well, a lot of y'all know Doug is a really bigoted right-winger. And like I don't say that with any sense of hyperbole or exaggeration. Doug has a weaponized channel. A lot of this, if y'all don't understand, you might have to do your own homework. Like I said, I have very limited time today, so I'm gonna try to get through some of this. And so I'm gonna just shoot straight with y'all, and y'all could go get the info and decide for yourself if that's important to you. But it got to a point where a lot of us, or I should say a bunch of us, really had a hard time supporting Doug's friends. Like, it got to a point where we didn't fuck with Doug no more. Most of us, a couple of us tried to even confront Doug. That was a very painful process, at least for me, right? Because I used to be a huge Doug fan. I met a lot of this community in Pine Creek's channel. I spent a lot of time with y'all there. Doug named me one day on his stream as like, it was the first black person he mentioned when he listed off his black friends. But then he started making a bunch of racist-ass content, and I tried to confront him about it. I tried to confront it on his channel about it. It started a whole big thing, but it didn't really get through to him. Then he popped up one day. We were talking about him on Hot Program. It was the first time, I've been doing this show forever. It was the first time Doug finally, he showed not near interest in our show at all until he was the topic of the discussion. And then he finally comes in, acts like an asshole to me the whole time, and then turns around and makes an actual show responding to his appearance on our show with just more weaponized assholery. Does basically the same thing to Lena. Lena had like a fucking, 2-3 hour discussion with them all about climate change and trans issues. Doug turns right around on his Pine Creek's politics channel, makes a 3-hour stream, throwing Lena Greta von Thornburg and the whole queer and climate change movements under the bus. And to be honest with y'all, I'm gonna just keep it real, y'all. That's really hurtful shit. It's really hurtful shit. Like, we don't talk about this on YouTube a lot because it's not cool to say your feelings were hurt. But come on, man. I'm a big fan of this person, and then they just start making actually fucking racist, bigoted fucking content, literally coming after our cities the day before the election, making anti-Black Lives Matter content the day after fucking Tyree Nichols was murdered. I mean, I'm talking about pain, y'all. Really? And then we actually spend time with this motherfucker and he uses it against us. So to keep it moving, Doug and listen to me. Nitty and Tux were part of Doug's card playing group for a hot minute. Actually, I think maybe Oz or somebody else was in our community back in the day, but they've been stopped fucking with them. And so, yeah, that's how it was, right? A lot of people, they realized Doug was a right winger, they stopped playing poker with that motherfucker. A lot of us realized what a right winger Doug was, we stopped watching his shit. We unsubscribed from his channel. We stopped being friends and fans of Doug. But somehow, like, Nitty and Tux really never came around. They really never came around. They just were stuck under Doug's influence, right? And the part that people didn't understand was that was, Nitty, feel free to call in if you want. That was painful for myself and other people in the community. Like, I'm trying not to put other people's names in it because they haven't told me that, you know, they want to be public with this. But they told me. And I mean, literally, I'm not talking about one or two people. I'm talking about a handful of people who would literally tell me, I don't like watching Nitty anymore because of this. I don't like watching Tux anymore. I don't want to watch their broadcast anymore. And then it was kind of going on like this for a while. And I noticed, like, whenever I would be over there, like, a whole bunch of us would be over there. And so people literally said to me, like, I don't like this, but, you know, you seem to still be cool with them. So that's kind of why. So literally people were making me feel like they didn't know where to draw the line because they hadn't seen me draw the line. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm over here trying to be supportive of y'all, but I'm uncomfortable as hell about all this, right? I'm doing the most right now. So it really, I want people to understand this because people tried to play us in that situation. People tried to play it like, oh, Jay wants to control who you're friends with, and Jay's an asshole, and Jay's starting a cult, and he's a cult leader, and if you're friends with who he doesn't, I'm like, motherfucker, this is supposed to be about your friends. This is about your friends are in fucking pain. And the people who the shit hurts can't ignore it. Yeah, you can ignore it because you're not at the tip of the fucking spear, as Stephanie would say. They make some shit about, fucked up ass Democrat cities, and you know that shit is racist dog whistling. You ain't a person of color. You don't live in one of these cities. You don't give a shit about this political discourse. Yeah, it is easy for you to listen to. You're not queer. You're not trans. So look, y'all, like, I had to draw a line in the sand. Like, yo, my people are uncomfortable and I'm uncomfortable. So one day we're literally hanging out in Nitty's stream. Literally, it was an uneasy period, y'all. It was an uneasy period. It was this period where my community is trying to support these content creators, And I do feel responsible for promoting these channels, you know, letting people know, like, yo, these are my mans, check out my mans, like, make sure, you know, like, it's other content creators out in the community. I put effort into supporting the other content creators in our community. And so, yeah, I feel responsible and accountable to where I'm sending motherfuckers. I'm trying to help the community grow. I'm sending you to other spaces. If those spaces are taking steps backwards and taking steps instead of taking steps forward, yeah, I feel responsible for that shit. And so for me, like, it was a very uncomfortable time because I didn't want to make waves. I didn't want to have conflict with, you know, my friends and shit like that. But at the same time, a bunch of us were very uncomfortable with the fact that they were still cool with this man. And so anyway, one day we're hanging out in Nitty's stream. It was a bunch of stuff going on. Nitty was actually having a pretty good stream that day. You know, different guests, different people talking. And, you know, Tux was behind the scenes. And just like I had done originally where I put Tux on my restream team, so when he popped in, he could control things backstage, so he could, you know, control the different camera views and who's featured and all of this type of stuff. And I noticed that day, to be honest with you, Tux was a little off. Like his scene changes and all this, like he was either doing too much or switching at the wrong time, and it was kind of distracting. And I didn't really say nothing because I know a lot of people didn't probably know it was Tux fucking around back there. But Tux eventually comes on the show. He pops up on camera, and he basically is like, "Oh yeah, I've only been half paying attention because I've been playing cards with Doug." He always said he'd been playing poker or whatever, and we all knew that he was playing at Doug's poker night. Now, I'm a little irritated, like, yo, homeboy, like, Nitty's actually trying to do a meaningful stream right now, and you ain't really with it. Like, okay, that's kind of irresponsible. But I literally put a comment in the chat that's like, yo, I hope Doug's poker night is worth ignoring the discomfort in your community. Because at this point, I had made like a whole, I told you about the streams we actually did with Doug. I confronted Doug on his channel. I had a stream about him on this channel, with him on this channel. But we did at least 2 or 3 other streams addressing Pine Creek's problems. Like when I really started having beef with Doug, I made a whole shit ton of streams about Doug. I still do every once in a while hit on Doug. So they knew where we were at. And the reason I made those streams was because I needed people in the community to understand why I didn't support Doug anymore. And everybody was on the same page. So literally, most of us just don't fuck with Doug anymore. Literally, it felt like Nitty and Tux were the only holdouts. And part of us are like, okay, cool, like, you know, they used to be his poker buddies or whatever, like, but it got to a point, it was just too much. And so what I noticed immediately in that stream was Nitty actually started having a back and forth in the comment section with us during that live stream about the whole Doug thing. Like literally, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, like Nitty was really concerned, and he was like asking questions about what he should do and shit like that. And I was like, just stop playing poker with a bigot. Like maybe start a non-racist poker night. Like I don't know. Like I made that clear. Like I'm not. It's not my responsibility to tell you what to do, but you know, when it comes to problems, you got to come up with something. You got to do something. Like I don't know. But what did Tux do? He ignored the entire conversation. He ignored the entire conversation. And that is when, after that, Doug made the anti-BLM video right after Tyree Nichols was murdered. And that's when I was like, fuck it. That's when I was like, fuck this. And that's when I made a stream about not being able to support Tux and Nitty anymore. the point for me was to say, and I made streams about this before. I made long streams about this before. I even titled it and themed it so people would understand basically the idea that you're exposed because of this person, right? Like, you know, people want to talk about guilt by association, canceling, whatever, table all that madness. I really don't care, and that noise really doesn't bother me. What it's about is accountability. And the point I made is, if somebody has something that they've done in their past, but they've changed up, and now you associate with that person, of course you're not responsible for what the person does in their past. But if you're a known associate of somebody and they're still doing hurtful things, then every time they do something hurtful, especially if they do that hurtful thing in your community, especially if they target your community with it, then you are going to continue to hurt. And then every single time they do a hurtful thing to you, and then you have this supposed mutual friend or mutual associate or whatever who's still buddy-buddy with them, every time you see that quote-unquote mutual friend, it fucking hurts. Because you're like, oh, he did this other shit, and you're still cool with them. And then he did some more shit, and you're still cool with them. And he gonna do some shit again, and you still ain't gonna take a stand. So now I gotta deal with his hurtful shit and the fact that every time I see you, I gotta be reminded my pain isn't enough for you to fucking do anything. I gotta sit up here and educate motherfuckers. Yes, did you know that anti-trans content is hurtful to queer people? Did you know that racist dog whistling hurts people? I gotta fucking explain that shit to y'all. And so that was it. I was like, yo, I'm done with this shit. Why? Because they wanted to sweep it under the rug. Most of us thought Nitty got awkward as shit and ended that stream because he didn't want to have the conversation about Doug. But at least he tried to acknowledge it. But boy, he got up out of there. And people fucking noticed and they messaged me. Yo, Jay, didn't you notice how fucking, as soon as we started talking about Doug, Nitty was trying to get the fuck up out that stream and Tux ain't had nothing to say. Like, niggas act like y'all could do this shit in public and I'm gonna be the only person who fucking notices. Nah, you're a public figure. You got a fucking YouTube channel. You're the social media, dog. People notice what the fuck you do live. You do a live show so people can notice what the fuck you do. And it felt like they wanted to sweep it under the rug. Tux just wanted to ignore it. Nitty just wanted to say, can we just end this conversation, please? Nope. They're trying to be serious about the conversation. Time to end the stream. Ooh, that shit hurt. We finally bring it up. And y'all wanted to sweep it under the rug. Because you didn't want to be uncomfortable about it. So motherfucker person telling me I'm trying to run a cult, I'm trying to cancel people, I'm trying to control who people are friends with. No, I tried to do it respectfully, to call people out so we could have a fucking conversation, and they didn't want to fucking talk about it. So yeah, after you show clear that you're not gonna engage, that you're not gonna do shit, yeah, then all of a sudden, yeah, we're gonna have to draw some hard boundaries and hold people accountable. So that's why that happened. We tried to talk about it. We felt that was ignored. So then we were like, fuck it, we don't support people who are still friends with us. And again, y'all, it was because we were uncomfortable. And I was tired of ignoring that hurt. But here's the difference. Nitty did something about it. He was clearly impacted. He was clearly upset. He clearly wanted to do the right thing. He made it clear he was impacted by it. We talked about it. Everybody wanted Nitty to stay in the community. I did too. So we tried our best to work that out. And I give him all the love, adoration, and respect in the world because that is what fucking growth looks like. But Tux didn't do that. Tux didn't try to make it work. Tux didn't try to make it right. What Tux did instead was say that he thinks he understands how we feel, but he understands how Doug feels, and he'll fight for our right to say what we need to say, but he's gonna fight for Doug's right to say what he wants to. Yes, y'all. He told me he would be willing to fight for that white bigot's right to be bigoted. Let me explain something to you. I know the First Amendment, so fucking save it. We're not talking about the law. We're talking about social consequences. We're not talking about the Constitution of the United States of America. We're talking about this motherfucking community. So save it. Never in the history of history have white men needed to have their rights fought for. So when you open up your fucking mouth to tell a person of color or a queer person that you're gonna fight for a white man's rights to do some fucked up bigoted shit, yeah, you deserve whatever you got coming back to you, bruh. Because that's some ignorant ass shit to say. Doug's content is fucking hate speech. Straight up. And if you're gonna fight for somebody's right to produce hate speech, I don't think you deserve a place in this community. That's just my straight up opinion. To me, I just think we stick you over there with Doug and stay there. Then we have the whole Francesca Stravakopoulos situation that comes up after that, as though we needed more examples. And a lot of y'all already know David Falk said some utterly fucked up shit about Francesca Stravakopoulos. Don't have time to reiterate the whole thing, but the most inflammatory part of it for most people was he literally said that people who support her work or whatever were doing their scholarship via cup size, because he was trying to make some whole rant about how she gets all of this attention on media because she's attractive rather than because she's one of the leading scholars in her field. Now, everybody throughout the week was wearing David Falk's ass out. Derek was handing him a new one. Derek was, trying to soldier the cause and communicate with this man actually and let him know like you fucked up here. And then his apology was fucked up, and Derek tried to help him on that. Bro, this is not an apology. And Nate did a stream that week. Nate over at Digital Gnosis. And fuckface Doug came through, of course, because these people do. That's what they do, y'all. Like, we all having a good-ass time in the community, and these motherfuckers just can't stand to see us having a good time without them, and they always come through with they bullshit. So Doug comes through and basically defends David Falk. Oh, he wasn't that bad. I don't even understand what we're all here for. And one of the things he did when he came through that stream was he tagged Nitty. It's just one of the points I made to Nitty, but I think Nitty saw it afterwards, which is like, when you're friends with a person like that, they use you as passage in our community, right? It's kind of like a hood pass, white people like right. It's a lot of them hoods, right? You don't feel comfortable in, like, because it's not a lot of people like you there, right? And you be worried when you go in there, right? So what do you want? You want a hood pass, right? You want your black coworker or your black classmate to take you in there, right? And be like, oh, he's cool, he's with me, right? That's what Doug does. Everybody in that fucking chat knows who Pine Creek is. Every single person. He literally helped Nate get to the point where Nate is at. Right? So he doesn't need to tag anybody to express his opinion. Right? He could just say what he wants to say. Right? But he tags Nitty when he wants to say some bullshit. Right? To say, hey, Nitty, we're friends, right, Nitty? Right, Nitty, you'll co-sign on my shit, huh, Nitty? Nitty, you'll co-sign with me, right? You got to pay attention to shit like that. But what the fuck does Tux do? Literally comes through when Nitty's having a discussion about the whole thing and literally says that the comment wasn't that bad. Gets on Nitty's stream and tries to explain why it really wasn't that bad of a comment. He just made it worse because he messed up the apology. Tux did an entire stream on his own channel about the incident to elaborate his opinion that it really wasn't that bad, the comment, but where he went wrong was with the half-assed, insincere apology. On multiple times, on multiple streams, on multiple channels, that man really let it come out his mouth. Oh, maybe he shouldn't have said it. Oh, it was in poor taste. But it really was. The real issue is this insincere apology, which seems that, motherfucker, he giving us an insincere apology because he's a fucking misogynist and he doesn't want to walk back his misogynist fucking comment. And the comment was awful. It was monstrous. And again, I did entire streams about that. Like just about how like you got to speak out about the unique case of misogyny in academia. And there was a lot of shit there, like about like this is how misogyny in academia works. You try to tear down the person's work, right? And we talked about how there's especially issues within sort of those, religious studies and the sort of sphere of, disciplines that are related to these topics. And of course, then being a, what do I want to say, like a secular scholar, right? So there's misogyny within scholarship, there's misogyny, extra misogyny within those fields, and then of course there's extra misogyny given the fact that she takes a secular perspective in those fields instead of the traditional apologist perspective or whatever, which is the dominant paradigm. It's a monstrous thing to say. It's absolutely that bad. And then Tux goes on this whole stream about how, the issue is he never tried to make it right. He never tried to make a sincere apology. I'm sitting there like, well, when is this motherfucker going to try to make it right? And what bothers me is Tux hit me, when we first started, like everything was cool. Like he was one of my dudes. Like we were supposed to be hosting a show together every week. We had a little hit. It was a little hit or miss when we first started, just because of scheduling. We tried to be flexible. Like if he went on a date with his wife or had to work or something like popped up, we just were flexible about it. No big deal. But like he got irritated with me over the whole Hovind thing. He didn't like the way I handled the Hovind debate, which fine. Tried to chew me out about it on air, and I tried to I had to eventually just shut that down. I had a bunch of people trying to chew me out, and I was like, look, y'all are just not even showing any respect to the fact that, like, I'm doing a show right now, and, we'll deal with this whenever, right? Like, but it just completely fell off. And I feel like it bothers me that a person, because I'm gonna just tell y'all what it's like. Like, this person literally told me, like, oh, I'm here to ride your coattails. Like, you know, like the fact that you're so excited about me, I know you're trying to build your channel and your, you know, your name out here off of what I was trying to do. Like, even after, like, because I was talking to Tux a lot when we first started this about trying to, you know, plan how we were going to play out the organization and everything, like how are we going to get everything started. He went ahead and like literally bought the domain of Flying Man Ministries. Like, what a fucking move, right? Like, to literally, like, we start talking about this thing, you go buy the fucking domain, then you like, I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it just feels selfish. I'm trying to start something, and then you, why? I don't understand. Like, I didn't even understand that. But, you know, from there it's just gotten worse. Like, then he didn't like the way I debated Hovind, so he just completely fell off. Right, and it just bothers me because now I just feel like he's around all the time, still trying to grow off this community and just trying to ignore this shit. And no one's like doing anything about it. And and it just bothers. I'm like, I'm not gonna ignore this. Like, I'm not, because it literally, again, it's back to the same shit. Like, when he popped in Nitty's channel yesterday, I just dipped. Because I'm not gonna sit and listen to Tux. I just don't. I don't even think his counter apologetics are that good. I don't even know. Like, the Bible wasn't written by Satan. Nobody's buying that. So let's just put that out there. That's just not a. It's not a fee. That's basically the anti-Richard Madsen stance. Like, it's such a crazy, ridiculous interpretation that it's totally unproductive. You know, it's Richard Madsen territory, but on the atheist side. Whatever. You don't like me no more. You don't want to hang out. Cool. You want to be friends with Doug or whatever. Cool. But don't fucking sit around and tell me you're gonna ride my fucking coattails and then ignore the real shit that's going on in this community and then continue to try to grow off this community by sweeping it under the rug and acting like it isn't happening. To me, that's disrespectful. If you got love for this community, you got respect for this community, then fucking stand up for it. And if you can't, then go away. Or acknowledge that you can't. But to keep putting it on me, to keep blaming me, and then just keep trying to ingratiate yourself to this community, you know what we're about. You know how we get down. You know we take these issues seriously. So why try to depend on us if we can't depend on you? I don't like that, because again, what would happen? Because I know people are gonna be pissed I made this stream, but think about it. What would happen if I didn't make this stream? Nothing. He would never address the issue with Pine Creek. He would never address the issues he's had with this community. He would never address the pain we feel. Nobody would ever confront them on stream about it. That's why we don't do shit behind closed doors. Because people need to see the process. I'm tired of people sweeping people's pain under the fucking rug, and then you turn around and you want those people to be behind you. Nah, man. That ain't right. All right, y'all, I got to get up out of here, man. I got a meeting with my advisor. Look, people want to get it right. I'm always here to make peace, baby. Your boy's here is your boy is always here to negotiate the treaty. But I'm not gonna ignore shit, because by ignoring it, I co-sign on it. If I tolerate it, that's like I'm showing people how to treat my community. I just don't know who I would pass the buck to. So until I figure that out, y'all, when the shit get to me, it's gotta get dealt with. Appreciate y'all, love y'all. I will catch you next time. In the name of the Darwin, the Dawkins, and the Christopher Hitchens, science bless you all. Love you guys. Poof!
Zach, why she wanna leave me alone? Saying all I do is wrong. No rights when they been left turns. Playing that she gotta let it burn. Saying that the house not a home. Sunshine cause you heard it all before. Sometimes she don't wanna be alone. Most times she don't want me gone. She don't know I try my all. She don't know I sprung in the sun, but I'm going in the winter, so we good to the fall. Remember how I told you I get it and I win, now I'm got it, you ain't answer my call. Wonder if I've been moving too strong. Maybe I just been moving too balls. Really hate when the feeling get lost. Nowadays she just dodge my calls. In the game throwing laws like Paul. Young legend Miss John like Wall. And I wish you never met like Call. Thick game, lay it down like law. Made plans but you canceled them all. I was just trying to splurge in the mall. Now I'm home stacking bread till you call. It's time to roll. She tryna slide. We smoking Zah. Stop acting shy. Cause you a demon when I get between your thighs, girl. You like my rib, you know I need you by my side, girl. It's time to roll. She tryna ride. We smoking. Stop acting shy. Cause you a demon when I get between your thighs, girl. You like my rib, you know I need you by my side, girl.
We smoking that side. I'm tryna get high. She said that she not ready for love, stop wasting my time. I got demons in my closet, I can't hide. I did all my exes wrong, they wish I died. Damn, I tried. They won't believe me when I say this. Oh my God, what a blessing. Hello Phoenix, that's my twin. I told these hoes they won't get my heart again, not again. Cause they went missing when I needed just a friend.
They went missing, yeah, they always missing. They don't want no smoke, they hit the blunt and started tripping. My daughter about to be 5, I ain't got no time to be bitching. I'm still reminiscing.